Hey everybody, it's your old pal Mike. I hope you're happy, healthy, and safe. And listen, I've had a busy week. We're going to keep this moving along, keep it short, because I've got a question. A question that burns deep inside my soul. A question that lingers in the hearts of offset guitar fans the world over. A question that hangs in the air like smoke rings at a 1930s jazz club or at a Shoney's before the 1990s smoking ban. That's right. The question I'm going to answer today is, does this make a difference? This isn't just any pickguard. No, friends, this is a gold, anodized aluminum pickguard that came off of a Chicago special Jazzmaster that I worked on this week. And it's here to help me answer the age-old question of whether a pickguard makes a big difference in the sound of your guitar. Back when the Jazzmaster first rolled off the assembly line in 1958, these were standard. Everyone came with one, except for a handful of Jazzmasters that left the factory with black pickguards. As far as we know, there are maybe about 20 of those floating around, and I happen to have encountered 2 of them, and they're very cool. They're a little bit more purple than they are black, but you wouldn't be able to tell that unless you're right up close. Now, the gold anodized pickguard as a feature lasted until the better part of 1959, when Fender replaced them with the tortoiseshell and mint guards that you're more familiar with today. After the change, Fender continued to use a thin sheet of aluminum as a shield, sandwiched between the pickguard and the body to cut down on noise. Now, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I think the earliest Jazzmasters, the ones with gold pickguards, they sound a little bit different than the ones that came after. That's 59, 60, and 61 like Pancake, my trusty favorite guitar in the world. Now, I know that many of you are likely skeptical about the effect a pickguard can have on the sound of a guitar, and I understand it. I mean, it doesn't make sense. A pickguard is an inert piece of the guitar. It doesn't do anything. Yet, as a guitar tech with years of experience, it seems to me that any change you make to a guitar, whether it's a string alloy or gauge, a pickup, an electronic component, even a bridge that's got greater mass that offers more sustain and resonance, anything can really have an effect on the sound of your guitar. It's not just the pickups. So for today's video, we're going to swap out the pickguard on my blue Jazzmaster and see what kind of difference that makes. R2 is a 2007 Fender thin-skin Jazzmaster, and it happens to be the first Jazzmaster I ever owned. It's the one that taught me all about offset setup and how to get the most out of them. As you can see, I've definitely played it hard. I've even thrown it on occasion. But along the way, I've also made some upgrades that make it better suited for my needs. Those upgrades include a Mastery bridge, Emerson 1 meg pots, Lollar Pickups, and a vibrato from a 1963 Fender Jaguar. For the purposes of this video, the only change that's going to happen is the pickguard. Every other aspect of the guitar and signal path, it's going to stay the same. That's action, pickup height, components, even the set of strings, even the Line 6 Helix settings I'll be using. Every other aspect of this demo is going to be identical. And as always, I'll put a link in the description down below for the Helix patches I'm using. Now, what do I expect will happen? I'm going to keep that to myself until later because I don't want to color what you're hearing. So, we'll do the demo, we'll have a listen, and we'll come back and talk about it. Think. Oh, bother. What did you think? Could you hear a difference? I definitely could, and I feel like my expectations were almost perfectly met. Here's what I thought. Now, what do I think is going to happen? Well, I expect the gold pickguard to be just a little bit brighter. 58 and 59 Jazzmasters with an anodized guard always have a little bit of top-end zing to my ear. So I think that's going to happen with R2. I think I hit the nail on the head. I expected it to be just a little bit brighter overall. The difference, while there, it was subtle. I'm not going to pretend that if you add an anodized guard to your guitar, it's going to be a completely different guitar at the end of it. No. Like just about every mod in the world, we're talking about shades of difference. We're talking about subtle variations on a theme. Adding an anodized guard to R2 didn't turn it into a 58 Jazzmaster, and it didn't turn it into a Tele or Les Paul. It didn't completely alter the response. What it did was simply accentuate what was already there. R2 has always, within my collection, occupied a very specific sonic space. It's got a little bit less low mids, the bodywood's what I would call soft, it dents very easily. And I feel like I can hear that in the tone. I feel like that guitar has always been a little bit brighter, a little bit high mids focused. It's, to my ear, a little bit more modern sounding guitar, and I usually chalk that up just to the Lollar Pickups. The Lollar Pickups are fantastic, but they're not going to get you that like pristine vintage sound. They are a very modern take on the pickup, and I like that. They're a little bit hotter. There's a little bit more bright content. That's great. The anodized pickguard. Well, that just added to it, I think. Almost taking it into Telecaster territory. I feel like I was hearing more bite, more twang. Even the low end has a definition. It's more defined. Let's take a listen to an open E chord strummed on the guitar with 3 distinct settings. We've got the regular Marshall style amp that I'm using. We've got a jazz chorus type model and no processing at all. With the Line 6 Helix, I'm able to turn off all of the modeling and just record a dry guitar tone. So have a listen. Listening back now, I am hearing a metallic quality to the high end that just isn't there with the plastic pickguard. It's really strange. It's a little bit more than I expected, but it's also a little less. Like I said, it's a subtle change. Gives you a lot to think about, doesn't it? Like a pickguard. A pickguard can change the sound of the guitar. A lot of mods that we make to guitars are really only like a 5 or a 10% difference in sound, but sometimes that's the 5 or 10% that we need. This is definitely like a 5% change. It's not night and day. It is not, all of a sudden a gigantic bump in treble, but it is there. The only expectation I had that was dramatically surpassed was this one. I also expect the guitar to be just a little bit quieter as far as noise goes. These aluminum pickguards are just giant, thick pieces of metal, so they gotta be better, right? I wanna say that I expected the guitar to be quieter with a thick aluminum pickguard, but it feels like the noise floor has been halved. It's so much quieter with the gold guard. Have a listen. I mean, can you believe that? Like, I expected it to be a little quieter, just a little bit. But when I sat down and listened to what I'd recorded, I didn't expect it to be that much. I mean, wow. Like, I'm pretty used to noise at this point. It doesn't bother me that much, but maybe the first thing that I do when I get a new guitar is I dismantle it completely, I check the electronics, and if it's missing shielding, I add it. I do that myself. The anodized guard, I mean, if you like the look of it and the slightly chalkboardy feel on your fingertips, if you have a noisy guitar, this might be the first thing that you should do if you're looking to quiet it down. And it makes sense. Here is the original, well, not the original pickguard. This is an aftermarket pickguard from my good friend Jimi at Fenderparts on eBay. His mint looks fantastic to me. It looks vintage. It's got the right color. It's got the wide bevel and thick black layer that really makes vintage guitars stand out to me. So this is great. I love this. Oh, and note Chakotay's tattoo from Voyager. That's a fun little thing for me. But this is the original metal shield that came stock with R2 from the factory. And you can see it's this little tiny dinky shield. It is so much less substantial than the anodized guard that I put on there. So it makes sense that a bigger shield would shield more bigly. Yeah, we'll take that. That's dumb, but we're keeping it. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that the noise has been so dramatically reduced and that would absolutely be the biggest change. I mean, those of you who still feel like a pickguard doesn't make a big difference, you are right. It doesn't make a big difference at all. It makes a tiny, tiny, tiny difference. So in that way, you can rest assured that, you know, a pickguard isn't going to have quite the effect on a guitar that changing pots or pickups or strings, any of that will have. But it does make a difference. And I love finding this stuff out for real. I love knowing what to expect from a change on a guitar like this. This has been eye-opening. Even though I expected this, it's still been eye-opening. So yeah, to summarize, the guitar's a little bit brighter, a little bit twangier, but it's also quieter, and maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe the frequencies being taken up by noise are able to sing out more clearly. I don't know. That's a weird thing. I'd love to dig into that with someone who's way more experienced with noise and sound than I am. That ain't me. So we've put a new pickguard on R2. We've heard the difference that it makes, and we've seen that a pickguard can indeed have a big effect on the sound of a guitar. But I know there's one question left that you're all wondering. Am I going to keep it this way? Now, being named R2, it's kind of fun to have a little 3PO in the mix there too. And it does look good. I don't think I'm going to keep it like this. I like the way R2 sounds already. I like that it does something different than any of my other Jazzmasters, including Pancake the 61. That guitar is very throaty and takes up a lot of room in a mix. This guitar is really good at cutting through and excels at clean sounds. It's also great at solos. This guitar really finds the sonic space to make a statement and then get out. And I'm not about to mess with the sound that I know. Call me a creature of comfort, but R2 does what I want it to. And so I don't think the gold pickguard is going to last very long on here. I may even just go to the workbench right now and change it back. That doesn't mean I don't like the gold pickguard. In fact, I'm glad I have this because I plan on doing another build at some point in the future. A very special build indeed. And it's going to call for a gold pickguard. So we're going to have it around. That's going to be fine for me. But no, pretty soon, old R2 is going to go back to looking the way that it did. And yeah, I think that'll be pretty soon indeed. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. It really means the world to me that you all are subscribing and liking and commenting and sharing. You're making me feel real welcome over here at YouTube, and I'm starting to feel like I'm finding my place on the platform. So my sincerest and deepest gratitude to you. Thanks again for watching, and I hope that you're taking care of yourself and each other, and I'll see you in the next one.